So, I was really enjoying your movie, and then, as a Mets fan, it grabbed me the second those guys walked into the diner. And, of course, from there, you have this fantastic scene. And then I realized this is the second Men in Black movie we go back to Flushing. What is it about Flushing and that area that sort of has this bevy of alien activity?
Well, as you point out in the first movie, near the end of the first movie, we're also at the World's Fair site in Flushing. And Mookie Wilson gets hit in the head by a fly ball because he's looking at a spaceship. In this movie, we end up at Shea Stadium. The truth is, I didn't grow up in Flushing. I grew up in Washington Heights in Upper Manhattan. But, I used to go to the World's Fair growing up all the time, which is where the Unisphere is from and all that. And second of all, I was at the very baseball game that you're referring to. I was at Game 5 in 1969 when the Mets beat the Orioles to win the World Series. They were called the Miracle Mets. Yeah. And I played hooky. I was a senior in high school. My girlfriend and I went out to Shea, and for, I think, either $10 a piece or $10 total, we bought two scalp tickets and went to see the Mets win the World Series, which is one of the great miracles of mankind. So
that sort of, so that inclusion in the movie is all you?
Yeah, that scene was a scene I suggested, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it's very iconographically Men in Black because it's kind of magical and sort of big picture idea, and we had to rebuild the entire Shea Stadium digitally because they tore it down a few years ago. So
very cool. Another fantastic moment in the movie, both dramatically and visually, is the time jumps. You don't want to give away too much because there's little surprises in there, but can you talk about the conceptualization of that? Because it's obviously a lot went into it.
There's a scene where Will Smith has to go back to 1969 to save his partner, Tommy Lee Jones's character. And he discovers a way to do it is that he has to hold a time device and jump off the top of the Chrysler building. We've seen it in some of the trailers and commercials. So that was a sequence which I knew would just be fantastic in 3D. And so the first thing you do with a sequence like that is first I shot list, and I come up with a lot of cool shots.
Yeah.
Then we storyboard it. Then we give it to a pre-visualization house that creates it, and then I edit it. So then it was the very first thing we shot. It was 2 days, a blue screen with Will Smith. And it was the very first 2 days we ever shot on the movie. And it took 2 years and 4 months from that until when we finished it.
It works fantastically.
Thanks.
Now, obviously, you talk about Will. When you have a star like him, he brings more than just his actor. He's going to have input on the script, and I know he actually came up with the idea for the movie. Right. But how much influence did he have, sort of, on the script? I know you guys, have been developing it over a year, quite a bit of time.
Will is really smart about story and structure. He's a big fan of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, and really knows a lot about scripts and story and what works and what doesn't. And to back up 10 years ago, I was on the set one night directing Men in Black 2, and Will Smith came up to me and said, "Hey, Baz," he calls me Baz, "I have an idea for Men in Black 3. In it, I should go back in time, a villain should go back in time and do something to Tommy Lee Jones's character, and I have to go back in time and save Tommy and learn about stuff, and the audience will learn about stuff, but it should be all about time travel." And I said, can we just finish this one first? Yeah. And then many years later, Sony realized that they wanted to reboot the franchise, and that the way to do it was Will's idea, because it allowed us to sort of both have Tommy Lee Jones and all the stuff from the present, but add time travel, add a new character playing young Tommy Lee Jones, and we did, and it was totally based on Will's idea, and Will was very involved in helping with story, structure, comedy, scenes, logic, and Will also believes in making sure you have a great ending and working backwards. And one of the surprises of the movie, which we won't give away, is it has kind of an ending that you don't see coming, which is kind of great.
Absolutely. Now, there was a lot of controversy during production because you guys had this unorthodox shooting schedule, which I know was built into the schedule. Was that difficult, or was it is it difficult to work with that sort of negative connotation with the movie before it even opens, before anybody's even seen it?
You know what? It's annoying to have people judge a movie based on rumor and based on the way we structure a movie. I mean, I've never read more negative press than Titanic before Titanic came out. It was over budget. Everything was going wrong, but it really is about the movie and not how you get there. I tell people that on Men in Black 1, we changed the entire story of the entire plot of Men in Black 1 in post-production. 2 weeks before we locked the picture and recorded score, we totally simplified the plot. There were two aliens from warring planets, and we were in the middle. And it was Carl Stryken and Jeffrey Nussbaum. Nussbaum had the little guy inside his head. And they were enemies. And they were speaking in English. And in order to change the plot, I had a phonetics expert watch their lips and create an alien language based on the lip movement. I had those two guys re-record their dialogue in this alien language, and then I subtitled the sequence to make them from the same planet. And that one was a president and one was the ambassador. Who cares?
Right.
The movie worked. So it's annoying, but I've had worse.
Yeah.
I broke my arm.
Yes. And this is also the first Men in Black movie not come out on July 4th weekend, Will Smith weekend. I know Sony has another movie coming out that weekend, Spiderman. Was that something that you kind of were hoping to keep for?
You know what?
Didn't matter.
Actually, what we discovered is that that Memorial Day is a fantastic release date for us because it allowed us to open up worldwide on the same date. So we actually we feel we got the Spider-Man weekend, so we're really happy.
Okay.
So it was fun. Big Willie weekend, Men in Black 1, Men in Black 2, Independence Day, Wild West. But this is actually a better weekend. We're happy.
All right, cool. Now, right at the beginning, I mean, the movie just shocked me with Boris's weapon, this sort of little symbiotic thing he has. What was the design process with that? Who came up with that?
All the aliens are designed by Rick Baker.
Yeah.
And in it, the villain is played by Jemaine Clement, and his name is Boris the Animal, although he prefers being called Boris. Yes. And he had a pet, which we called the Weasel. And originally, his pet was actually going to sort of live on his wrist, and he was going to have guns, and we were just trying to simplify it, and we, through various discussions and all that with Rick and Ken Rolson, we sort of came up with the idea of the Weasel actually living inside his body, and in fact, it's his weapon, which is snuck into prison inside a cake, of course. Yeah. And the great moment early in the movie is when you see the Weasel go, his hand opens up and it goes inside his hand, and it's creepy in a very vaginal way.
Yes, it's a great whisper. And last question.
And nothing's more creepy than a
vaginal way. As popular, I know obviously Pitbull is pretty popular now, but as a fan of the first two movies, I was really hoping for a new Will Smith song. Did you try to push him for that? Was he just too busy? Why didn't we have
Will was really busy. Will was really busy. We had this movie, and then he started to go right into pre-production on a movie he's doing with M. Night. Yeah. That both he and his son are in, Jaden, and at the last minute, I think Will thought about writing a song, but it was late, and it would have been great, but I think Pitbull's song is pretty damn great, too, so.
Okay, cool. Barry, thank you so much.
Pleasure.